Hello everyone, my name is Brad and I am that busy baker dad. Welcome to my kitchen. Today we're making another mead. This one will be called Dionysus Juice. So as I've been contemplating different meads and mead names, my thoughts kept kind of circling around and around on very specific ones. So I figured why not kind of turn it into a bit of a series. So a lot of people call mead the drink of the gods. So what better type of series to make than about the gods that I really like to learn about and look into and discover, and that is the pantheon of the Greek gods. And as there is 12 major Greek gods that, live on Mount Olympus, one of the videos each month can be dedicated to one of the Greek gods. They won't be in any particular order, as I'm going to be setting different intentions for each one. I'm going to be researching the gods, looking into their symbolisms, and finding a mead that would really kind of suit, that god, whichever one it might be, Zeus, Hades, Poseidon, they're each going to have their own very distinct mead. We're going to kickstart this series with the wine god himself, Dionysus. Why would I start with Dionysus? Well, there is the possibility of a wedding next year. Hoping we got to get some things cleared up, but me and Mrs. Busy Baker Dad are really hoping to get married next year. So I want this wine to be allowed to ferment for a long time and age really well, give it, roughly a year's time to mature. And as always, there's always, reasons and, certain intentions that I put into the ingredients that we add to our mead. So some of these will include, for the two of us, this will be both our second wedding. We've both been previously married. And well, Dionysus was also called twice born. So seems fitting. And he is obviously, the god of wine, of parties, festivities, theater. And as you'll see in this little clip, Mrs. Busy Baker Dad, she sure loves to party. So for our ingredient for this mead, we will have our honey, which as always symbolizes health. We'll be using Saskatoon berries, picked and grown by my mother-in-law, and they symbolize abundance because these things grow like crazy. And we'll also be using new moon water. This water has been blessed by the most recent new moon that we had. And that really symbolizes new beginnings. And I think new beginnings is a perfect thing to have for a wedding. On a side note, I have made a Saskatoon berry mead before. And yeah, I've never made one this large before, but it turned out really, really well. And it's actually one of my favorite meads that I've made so far. And I would love to share that with others. So with this bigger batch, I've been working on a formula for it, and I'll show you what I came up with, and I think it's going to turn out even better than it was before. So let's get to making it. So in this pail, I have already scaled out 12.5 pounds of Canadian honey. When I made this mead before, I did 3 pounds to a gallon. And it was good, but it was a little too sweet for my tastes. So I'm gonna scale that back a little bit. And if it turns out extra dry or way too dry, we can always back sweeten it later. So before we get on to dealing with our fruit, I'm just gonna add, about half of the water of our new moon water, just to dilute the honey a little bit, and it'll just make it easier to mix later. So we're just gonna pour some in. All right. Now we'll just give this a little bit of a stir. As I said, this will just help later, because now instead of trying to stir with all that fruit in there, the honey will already be mostly dissolved. I do want to mention that everything has been clean and sanitized before use. As I've mentioned in my other videos, you do want to keep everything pretty clean, because you don't want any contaminants or anything getting in there and ruining your wine. Okay, I'm going to set this off to the side for now. And we're going to bring in our berries. So in here we have 10 pounds of Saskatoon berries. These little suckers, if you can see real good, they're kind of like blueberries, but they're a little bit smaller. And in my opinion, they have way more flavor to them. Saskatoon berries can also go by the names of June berries, or service berries, or shadbush. But, well, I like Saskatoon berries. These, I should also note, I forgot to mention in my other videos, that these have been previously frozen. It's always good when you're adding fruit to meads to freeze them for a day or two first. This way, you know, it breaks down that skin, and that'll just help the yeasts get more at the sugars, and it'll just be a lot easier for the yeast to do their thing. I also want to note that we will be also adding about an ounce of raisins. I chopped these up. That's just going to add some tannins to the mead, which is going to just make it so much better in the long run. So what we're going to do with these berries is I've got a bowl with a produce bag. As I've said before, you know, you can get these at a grocery store or something like that. They're pretty cheap, and they come real handy when you're dealing with mead. So I'm going to transfer the berries into these bags to start off with. And the reason I'm putting them in bags is later when I do a rough rack, when it's time to take the fruit out, it's just so much easier to pull a bag out than try to slowly scoop out little bits of berries. Save you a ton of time in the long run for a very low price. I could probably stuff these all into one bag, but for ease's sake, I'm just going to use two. So that's all I'm going to put. That's about half. So I'm going to add about half of our raisins to this bag now. I'm going to tie it up. Actually, before I tie it up, just rethought this. I'm just going to mash them. I just got like a potato masher here. I'm just going to mash these up to break those skins. All right. You could mash them up more if you want, but I honestly feel like that's quite enough. So I'm just going to tie up this bag, and this is how easy it is. Just give it a quick tie like that, and now we're just going to transfer it all over into our bucket and pour in the extra juice. And we'll get another bag. And we'll start filling this one. So that's the rest of our Saskatoon berries. We'll add the rest of our raisins to this bag now. Oops. And once again, gonna give it a quick mash, just to soften everything up. Now this mead should come out with a beautiful light purple color. But you can see those if you like and subscribe and click that bell so you can get notifications, because we will be doing updates with this as we go, as I do with all my meads. So please, like I said, like and subscribe. All right. Again, we'll just tie up our bag. Nice and simple. And we'll transfer this. I'll bring my other pail so you can see this. And we're just gonna plop this in. And we're gonna pour in all that juice. All right, let's center this a little bit. Tuck those down. You can already see that color starting to come through. Okay, let's add the rest of our water. All right, let's give this a stir. Now I want to stir this really good, as we want to incorporate a lot of air into here, because air will help the yeast get started in this too. Before we pitch our yeast, I'm just going to do a hydrometer reading so we can get an original gravity for this. So I'm just going to grab my hydrometer here. And I'm just going to siphon out a little bit. All right, let's see what we're sitting at here. So this is sitting at about 1.092. So it's an original gravity. If everything works out, it's saying it'll come out to about a 12%, which, you know what, for me, that is perfect. We'll keep a tab on things as they go. I'm just gonna write a quick note, just so we can keep track of everything. Okay, so now we're gonna pitch our yeast. And for our yeast, we're gonna be using Lavalin EC1118. Just because that's what I have on hand. A lot of times I'll use bread yeast, but I had gotten these in a pack, and really that's what I'm gonna use. So we're gonna use the entire packet for this, just because it's such a large batch of mead. Normally for my 1 gallon batches, I only use about half a packet, but. And now this, I'm gonna stir very vigorously, just to get some air incorporated in there, get that yeast going, because that yeast needs the air and the sugar to get started to do its thing. All right, and I'd say that's about good enough. Now we're just going to slap on our lid with our airlock. Now I do want to mention that now this is good, so we can set it off to the side, let it do its thing, but every day for the next probably 10 to 14 days, we're going to pop this lid off give it a stir just to keep everything kind of moving and activated. Put the lid on, just a quick stir, lid back on, basically up until we do our rough rack. I don't normally film that because really who wants to see me pop a lid off and stir it, but just a note I thought I should make. And that's it, another great mead in the books. Like I said before, please like and subscribe. There's going to be a lot more meads coming along. As I said, there will be at least one a month dedicated to one of the Greek gods, and we'll do some other stuff in there as well. Some more baking, some more family moments, and of course we will be doing some other meads as well. You know what, if you guys have a thought process on what you think would be a great mead, put it down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys can come up with, and maybe we'll make something of it. Well, I'm gonna get this sucker downstairs to let it be to do its thing for the night. I'm gonna clean up, and that's it. So as always, stay happy, stay healthy, stay magical.